So I want to address something that has been heavy on my chest. Some of you know by now that I was born and raised in Queens. Andrew has been living in Manhattan for the last 25 years. We met here, we got married in City Hall, we had our boys here, and they go to school here. Anytime someone implies that we are not New Yorkers, that we are not from here, that we don't belong here, that we should go back to where we came from, it is exactly what it sounds like. It's racism. I'm not talking about one-offs or innocent mistakes. I'm talking about a pattern that we have noticed since the first day that we entered this race. It is deliberate and it is toxic. People have consistently implied that we're not from here and that we don't belong here. Regardless of what you think about Andrew and his plans for New York, regardless if you support another candidate in this race, I don't care. It is not okay to use Andrew to make Asians the butt of racist jokes.
That's not okay.
Especially during this time of unprecedented racial tension. A time when Asians are being randomly attacked on our streets just because of how they look. And this is very important, told to go back where they came from. Yesterday, a number of my friends sent me a cartoon from the Daily News with a note saying, "I can't believe how racist this is." When I saw it, I couldn't believe my eyes. Now, if you don't know what I'm talking about, or maybe you saw it and you don't understand, I want to show you. This is the cartoon. Let me break it down for you, in case you can't see clearly. Thank you, Ron. This cartoonist disfigured Andrew's face. He has overtly beady, slanted eyes. Now, these white people standing here on the other side have larger eyes and human irises. They're calling Andrew, this Asian man, a tourist coming from who knows where, but probably from a land of other people who look just like him, with his shifty, beady eyes. Now, this is the worst thing about what happened. When people discovered this cartoon, which was originally published online first, there was a public outcry from prominent API leaders. We contacted the Daily News. We told them, this is unacceptable. This is racist. This perpetuates the trope of the the Asian foreigner, the perpetual Asian foreigner. Now, there's a lot of historical context for this that I won't get into today. But, not only does this dehumanize Asians, it promotes racism against them.
Absolutely.
And you know what they did?
They printed it.
They printed it
Absolutely.
anyway.
They don't care.
What message does this send to all the Asians
Disgusting.
that are afraid to go outside every day with our children? What message are we sending? When we can do this in the most diverse city in the country, in the most progressive city in the country, what message are we sending? We have seen the same treatment used against black and brown people in the past. When people of color are presented with exaggerated racist features, we know what that means. It's not funny, it's toxic, and it's hurtful. Images can be even more powerful than words. And just look at this page. I couldn't get over the irony of this page. On one half, we remember George Floyd and his death, his murder, and the movement that was born from his murder, a movement towards racial equity and racial justice. This part by Al Sharpton condemns racism. This part, in the same paper, perpetuates racism. Now, I am so grateful for the movement that George Floyd inspired, because Asians, we've been inspired by that movement, the protests, the rallies. We looked to these inspirations when people in our community were also being targeted and killed because of the color of their skin. Our attitudes about racism are never separate. They are always intertwined. Now, I don't usually get involved in campaign food fights, but I feel compelled to be here to speak about this. It's not about my feelings or Andrew's feelings being hurt, because at this point, we have seen it all. We have seen much worse. Last year, an SNL comedian called Andrew a Jew chink. Now that was blatant. This kind of racism, this is the underhanded kind of racism that is actually more insidious, because at first glance, it could pass as a joke. But we have to ask ourselves, why is this a joke? Why was this funny? I mean, our train stop, the Times Square train stop, is literally part of our biography. We have lived in Hell's Kitchen for over 15 years. So Times Square is actually the train station that we go to every day to go home. It's as simple as that. Now, why was that made to be a subject of a cartoon? Why is that funny? It's funny because of the racial context, because there are racial stereotypes behind this joke. Just think about it for a moment, and you will find that it's true. If we replace this Asian man with a black man or a white man or even a Martian, would this be as funny? No, it wouldn't be as funny. Now that racist humor is causing bloodshed on our streets, Asians terrorized, beat up, and left for dead just because they're Asian, and other people don't think that we belong here. It is very hard to explain this to our children. Stop promoting hate. Words matter, art matters, representation matters. So let's be better than this. Every time you make a joke about Andrew not being a New Yorker, you are telling Asian Americans that they don't belong. And that's all I have.
Thank you.